Say what? Say what? Kanye West this morning has apparently declared or announced that he is running for presidency for 2020 in the USA. That is our topic today for our podcast, folks. Kanye West say he's running for president. I'm not talking music-wise. I'm not talking, let's change the R&B hip-hop scene. I'm talking as in America. I want to be your next president. Now, first off, let me just start off with saying years and years and years ago, I was a huge Kanye West fan. Right now, no, afraid not. I still love his old school music. I still like the old Kanye, and I appreciate all of us go through scenarios where we change. For me personally, what changed my mindset with him was unfortunately when he married KK, Kim Kardashian. You're going to think I'm going to sound absolutely awful, but I have my own reasons. I personally cannot stand that family. It's nothing personal. It's just a fact that I personally don't like what they represent. For me personally, it doesn't sit comfortably with me. Their image, their background. Basically, every time I turn over for some media posts or so have a look at what's going on, there is always something, whether it's the fact that they've just changed their closet size, they've introduced a new shoe rack section, someone's popped out for some salads. Anyway, I digress. So, obviously, like I said to you, I was a huge fan of Kanye's. I was following his music for a long period of time, and I even went to one of his concerts, which was, I think, back in 2011, when he came to Manchester Arena, and he was with Jay-Z. He was touring with Jay-Z when their friendship was tight that time. And, I believe it was the Take the Throne tour, and I must admit, it was a spectacular concert. The two of them, when they did the various songs from that particular album, was superb, And Kanye, if you're listening to this, dude, I had your back. Many times when you did some outrageous things in your career. I had your back. For example, your Monsters album, your Monster track, when you introduced that, and the video was obviously trying to be banned. I can remember one of my colleagues, basically, as I was teaching, going round and saying to our girls in our school, do not follow Kanye, do not do this, do not do that. Understandably, it had more and more people, supporting you, actually, rather than going against you. And, that particular clip, that particular episode, I'm sure you had quite a lot of controversy because of the content of your video. Who doesn't? Most mainstream musical artists have that impact and have that infrastructure. But the main thing that concerns me, and the reason why I'm doing this particular podcast, is because obviously, there's been quite a lot going on in the background, which some people may be aware of and some people may not. I mean, for me personally, I've seen you grow. I've seen you develop different skills. I've seen you go from a music talented star to being an artist to developing and designing fashion. We know your whole Yeezy line. But one of the things that concerns me about you running for presidency, if you're listening to this, or other fans of yours are listening to this, is my concern about your financial side, your mental health side, but also, are you the right candidate for what America needs right now? If you look back at Kanye's history, when you got yourself into 53 million in debt. 53 million in debt. Let's just say that again. 53 million in debt. Okay? And you begged in 2016, for Mark Zuckerberg at the time to invest 1 billion into your ideas because you thought, it's going to help bail you out. Does America need somebody like that who's going to pimp himself out, on Twitter to ask for financial support and ask for financial help? And, obviously you didn't get your response. You didn't get the money from Zuckerberg. Luckily for you, you were able to get, a deal worth 150 million, I think it was, from Yeezy's Adidas, in order to help bail you out. Okay, and you were lucky. Some prayers, I think, and blessings were on that side. All right, and okay, you got out of a tricky situation. You continued making more and more money, more and more finances, and more and more income. Good for you, Kanye. But what does it mean for the little man? I think that's the context that some of us are sort of forgetting in this whole scenario. Being president means that you're going to be having to look after the people. Okay, and what concerns me is the person that I've seen you grow into as we speak right now. I appreciate you've had some huge mental health issues. We all have, we all have. And I appreciate you went through a really bad time where you lost your mother, and may she rest in peace, but also we're watching you become more of a man of God, and it is fantastic to see you go back to faith, go back to your religion, go back to your roots, I guess. But is this church really about helping others and helping the community? Or is it another aspect of you basically, filling in this aspect of your ego? Because unfortunately, that's what I see. You're going to disagree with me, okay? I appreciate there's going to be people that are going to disagree with me. But unfortunately, I just see you ticking certain particular boxes to ascertain wealth and ascertain materialistic things. And I don't unfortunately see you looking after, like I said, the humble person, the humble roots perhaps that you started off with, and I think you've lost in some respects your ways. Now, for me personally, I would, even though I'm not American, I would personally need someone that is thinking about the Joe Blogs, as we say back in the UK, from the street, and you just have to look at the price of one of your pairs of Yeezys, and you have to look at some of the actions that you've done that don't make me support you, unfortunately. The recent outlook was that you had apparently, Mr. West, had did this whole charade of pretending to be a Trump supporter and pretending to be Mr. Trump's best friend, purely on the pretense to try and get innocent people out of jail and innocent people out of where they did. I admire that if it's true. However, what I will say to you is, you had your own stance, you've had your own background, you've got your own swagger jagger, you've got your own personnel, and you have enough influence to get those people out. You don't need the likes of the puppet masters like Trump in order to do that. Also, the fact that you had the Make America Great Again hat and the Trump's hat and all of that on the pretense, this is what you've stated, not me, on the pretense that, I'm just faking it while I make it, so to speak, just so that I can get these innocent people out of the projects. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. It seems that as soon as we've had the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and people then obviously doing the contrast with All Lives Matter movement, it's almost like something in your conscience as though, let me just say it's been a whole charade, it's been a whole fake scenario. How can I trust you, Kanye, as a president? How? How can I trust you when you deceive people, you berate, belittle people, in this manner, and you delude them for so long, whether your intentions were honourable or not, you delude them for a long period of time. How can I put my faith in you as a president of running the country, of thinking of everybody, not just one particular person, but everybody? That's where my objections lie, And obviously, on the other aspect of things, I know in 2015 you announced that you were going to be running for presidency, but, you do need to file some paperwork first, Kanye? You need to actually file some election paperwork first in order for that to happen. And I believe, that you've missed some crucial deadlines in certain states, in certain areas, which is going to make this quite difficult, So it's concerning that you're making these declarations, you're making these statements about running for presidency, but you're not actually backing it up with real truth. Okay, so obviously you want to make America great again. A lot of people do, but how's that going to happen? And it is concerning that a lot of people are getting on the bandwagon of supporting you. Don't get me wrong. The people of influence, they are people of power, they are people of money. And this is where I'm concerned, because is that any different from what we've got right now with Trump? You know, do we need a businessman? Do we need someone that is rooted in their own agenda, their own finances, their own whatever political reasoning to be the president? Or do we need someone more humble? Do we need someone, for example, there's a candidate called Mark Charles, who would be perfect given the opportunity. He happens to be from a Native American background, indigenous people background. He has been fighting for various particular campaigns. Don't you think he would be a better candidate than yourself, Kanye? You know, he's more for the people. He's more for the smaller man, the bigger man, the medium man. And when I'm saying man, I'm not disregarding females, but of course I'm not. It's a phrase obviously we use within our society, you know. But he would be somebody definitely that would be all inclusive. He would be thinking of people of all race, of all colour. And especially in America right now, where you are in a crisis, you know, daily you are having episodes after episodes of people being stopped, being killed, being looted, being shot, basic rights being stripped away. And you're repeatedly then in contrast explaining that, you know, America's the land of the free. Well, it's quite clearly not, you know. Kanye, are you going to support that? Are you going to help promote that? When the prior president or the current president at the moment has taken away all those access of liberation and freedoms, and he's turned America into this racist country where people are turning on each other daily. And I don't just mean adults, I mean small children too. You know, that small children are being targeted and killed purely for the race of their colour. Now, I know, Kanye, don't get me wrong, you're a man of colour, you're a man of ethnicity, you score a tick on that point. You're a man that's had mental health issues, so you score a little point on that one. But do you really understand the issues that are happening to your wider community? You're so enveloped in this materialistic world, you know, and this influential world, where even recently you were celebrating your wife for being on, you know, or should she be on Forbes' list as the biggest billionaire, you know, when actually she only acquired 900 million, I believe it was. Kanye, when are you going to dig that money out of your pockets and give it back to the people on the streets? And maybe you are doing so, but why are you not doing it on a bigger scale? You know, the whole point of being a president, as you probably know, is helping the people. Have you, Kanye, been helping the people? You know, or are you more about making America more rich again? Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate you've donated funds to help the families of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and other people like that. And hands up, great, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm not dismissing that. But Kanye, there's a lot more that needs to be done. That's why I don't think you're the right candidate. You know, I'm sorry, this is my opinion. I'm not being rude to you. I'm not being nasty to you. I'm not being, you know, I'm just laying the truths. Yeah? America needs someone that thinks about its people, thinks about all genders, all races, you know, and it thinks about the current, you know, situation you've got yourself in. Basically, you're going to be cleaning up a lot of crap, excuse my language, that Trump has caused, you know? And all I keep seeing in the media, and don't get me wrong, I look at various sources before I even attempt doing podcasts or videos or whatever. I do my research before I even discuss topics like this one, okay? So I'm informed. And all I see is, you know, people disregarding some of the things that Obama did well and, you know, mimicking him, ridiculing him for all his faults. There was a lot of things that were put in place to help the people of America. Trump has eradicated that, getting rid of quite a lot of the healthcare systems. I mean, even recently, Trump didn't even believe that, you know, the whole medical issue with COVID was a real thing. You know, he was suggesting, as you've seen, to drink Clorox or to inject it or to have it inside. I mean, what is this man on? You know, what planet is he on? Are you going to continue with that sort of legacy, Kanye? Being a president takes a lot of hard work. We all know that. We were all extremely happy when you got Barack Obama. Tupac's words, not mine. Are we ever going to see a black president? Yes, we did. Thank God. The change happened. We would love to see another black president again. Me personally, from England, I would love to see someone of ethnic minority standing up and getting into politics, being able to be voted in to be the prime minister. You know, it's going to take change for that to happen. If you think, Kanye, that you're the greatest president that we're going to see, go for it. I can't vote for you, but you lost my vote, like I said, a long time back. All I see is ego. All I see is power. All I see is control. All I see is money and dollar bills, y'all, to quote a famous song. I don't see you caring about the community. I don't see you caring about the people. And I'm not saying you haven't. I'm saying do it consistently. Yeah? Personally, for me, the gentleman that I mentioned before, Mark Charles, okay, if you don't know him, you can look him up, markcharles2020.com. I think he would be a far better candidate. Okay? Far better candidate. And if you don't believe me, look it up. All right? Look it up. But the reason he's not got impressed, the reason he's not out there is because unfortunately he's not as famous as you. But one thing I do admire about him and one thing I do like about him, he's honest. And he's from the streets. He's talking about me, you, everyone else. He's not ignoring people for the sake of it. His agenda for politics is purely to help the people, purely to make a change. Your agenda, Kanye, unfortunately, it's all about ego. Sorry, brother, but that's the way it is. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. I'm sure we'll keep hearing more about this in the news, and if so, I'll do another podcast about it. Thank you for listening. Let's see what happens, America.